Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Pure devotees, whose characteristics are mentioned here, engage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna. Their talks are solely on the transcendental subjects. The symptoms of the pure devotees are described in this verse specifically. Devotees of the Supreme Lord are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing him with other devotees.
Mataji?
In the preliminary stage of devotional service, they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself. And in the mature stage, they are actually situated in love of God. Once situated in that transcendental position, they can relish the highest perfection, which is exhibited by the Lord in his abode. Lord Chaitanya likens transcendental devotional service to the sowing of a seed in the heart of the living entity. There are innumerable living entities traveling throughout the different planets of the universe. And out of them, there are a few who are fortunate enough to meet a pure devotee and get the chance to understand devotional service.
Sonali?
This devotional service is just like a seed, and if it is sown in the heart of a living entity, and if he goes on hearing and chanting,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
That seed fructifies, just as the seed of a tree fructifies with regular watering. The spiritual plant of devotional service gradually grows and grows until it penetrates the covering of the material universe and enters into the Brahma Jyotir, effulgence in the spiritual sky. In the spiritual sky also that plant grows more and more until it reaches the highest planet, which is called Golok Vrindavan, the supreme planet of Krishna.
Rinaji?
Ultimately, the plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and rests there. Gradually, as a plant grows fruits and flowers, that plant of devotional service also produces fruits, and the watering process in the form of chanting and hearing goes on. This plant of devotional service is fully described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 19. It is explained there that when the complete plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, one becomes fully absorbed in the love of God. Then he cannot live even for a moment without being in contact with the Supreme Lord, just as a fish cannot live without water. In such a state, the devotee actually attains the transcendental qualities in contact with the Supreme Lord.
Mukesh?
The Srimad Bhagwatam is also full of such narrations about the relationship between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Therefore, the Srimad Bhagwatam is very clear to the devotees, as stated in the Bhagwatam itself, 12, 13, 18. Srimad Bhagwatam Puranayam Amalain Vad Vasnayatam Pratyam. In this narration, there is nothing about material activities, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam is the only narration in which the transcendental nature of Supreme Lord and his devotees is fully described. Thus, the realized souls in Krishna consciousness take continual pleasure in hearing such transcendental literatures, just as a young boy and a girl take pleasure in association.
So are there any thoughts or questions about this important verse?
Of course, we have to bear in mind that this is the pure devotee, the person who has reached the highest level of devotional service. As it says in the translation of the verse, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. That's what the pure devotees do. They always glorify the Supreme Lord, and they come together to glorify the Supreme Lord and to talk about Krishna's pastimes and about advanced devotees who are examples in the Srimad Bhagavatam that show what it is to come on the path of pure devotion and reach the goal.
If we, and you highlighted that this devotional service is just like a seed. This is a very nice analogy, comparing Krishna consciousness to it's also it comes from the story where Lord Chaitanya calls himself a gardener, and how he's tending to the garden of devotional service. So it's very wonderful, the sort of metaphorical way of looking at this, how the seed of devotion, this is called the Bhakti Lata, is the Bhakti Lata Bija. Yeah, the seed of devotion is implanted in the heart of the soul who has some faith in the association of the devotees. And that seed is planted by the guru, who then helps the devotee through this process, which is described to be sort of a gardening process of watering the seed and tending the plant and letting the plant become luxuriant and full and grow. And as it's described here, it grows through the material world, the coverings of the material world, through the Brahma Jyoti, and eventually takes shelter of the Lord in Goloka Vrindavan. And we can just see the fruit, and the fruits and the flowers of this devotional creeper are the fruits and flowers of devotional service, the service that we render to the Lord in a loving relationship. It's a very nice way of looking at the whole process of Krishna consciousness.
And then it says here, if he goes on hearing and chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, that seed fructifies. So how important it is to water the seed by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is the father of Srila Prabhupada's guru, says that in this world there's nothing but the holy name of the Lord. Not in this world, in all the worlds, in the 14 worlds, there's nothing but the holy name of the Lord. This is the most important element in our lives. And if we want to have this seed fructify and grow and eventually take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, the process is by chanting. Under the guidance of the guru, ideally, yes.
I have a question. In the first paragraph of the purport, it says that devotees of the Supreme Lord are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. How is this so? Anybody have a suggestion?
Meaning whatever we are doing, we are just doing it with full devotion in Krishna.
Truly, a pure devotee is doing everything with full devotion. Absolutely, it has to be seen that way.
Everything you are doing, if you think you are doing it for Krishna,
yes,
then you can.
Right, when we say 24 hours a day, I think it's implying that because the devotee is doing everything for Krishna during waking hours, that even the dreams at night are about it. There's no separation. When Srila Prabhupada was very, very sick, appeared to be very sick, in the very end of his time on the planet, he would be lying completely it looked like a state of almost unconsciousness. would not be making any noise, responding to anything, and devotees would be reading, and if a devotee might perchance mispronounce a mantra in a verse, Prabhupada would immediately perk up and correct him. So it was like he was not missing a beat, even though apparently he looked practically unconscious. So he's always aware of Krishna.
And also it is said that Srila Prabhupada was always chanting. So if somebody would go, when he was quiet, somebody would approach him and they could hear the vibration of the holy name that he was pronouncing.
Always.
Always. Always.
So this is good that we can, if we look at the verse, Katayan tas chamam nityam, nitya kata. Let's always be chanting. And in this way, we'll always be Krishna conscious. Any other thoughts? The last line, it might be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Also, it says about one fortunate jiva out of innumerable living entities will get this devotional service.
Miss the pure devotee.
Fortunate
Yeah.
one.
Okay, see where is that?
Second paragraph.
Second paragraph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of them, there are a few who are
Yeah.
fortunate.
Oh, yes. There are numerous living entities traveling. Well, it's described Brahmanya, Brahmate, Konya, Bhagyavan, Guru Krishna, Prasadi Bhai, Bhakti Lata Beach, that we've been wandering everywhere. And it's been a long, long, long journey from body to body, life after life. And by good fortune, somehow or other, we've run into or met a devotee of the Lord who has introduced us to the process of Krishna consciousness. And it is by good fortune, and at the same time, it's also because we have what we call bhakti sukriti. And that means that we've acted, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, persons who acted piously in this life and in previous lives, they become eligible to take up the process of Krishna consciousness. So, it's great fortune, but we can also help make our fortune by acting in such a way that we get good association with devotees. So it's a nice point. Not so many people. There are so many people out there, and just they're struggling in the material world, and they have not had the opportunity to take up Krishna consciousness, or taken the opportunity. Let's put it that way.
Third paragraph is very important.
In the third paragraph, Rudrani wants to make a comment. It's very important.
Am I?
Oh, he said you.
Okay, the third paragraph is very important because now you're starting to read the Srimad Bhagavatam. And so in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is recommended that one begin with the first canto and go to the second and third, and all the way up to the 10th canto, not to jump to the 10th canto, but to become purified by hearing about the amazing activities of the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord and their life histories, and how they achieved the shelter of the Supreme Lord himself. So this is explained here by Srila Prabhupada, that is the only narration in which the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord and his devotees is fully described. So it's a very, very important text, and that's why Srila Prabhupada translated the Bhagavad Gita, translated Srimad Bhagavatam, and translated the Chaitanya Charitamrita and other books, but mostly those three are the most important books for us to learn about the science of devotional service by taking guidance from somebody who is more advanced than we are and who can give us the understanding, because we may read, like we were talking the other day, we may read so much, but how capable are we of assimilating? And the more the heart is purified under the guidance of a pure devotee, the more one is qualified to penetrate deeper and deeper into the mysteries of devotional life through these stories, through the different chapters of the Bhagavatam, by reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and of course, the preliminary study is the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Yes, Paragji.
The analogy I kind of think of Gita and Bhagavatam, Gita is like the theory, And Bhagavatam, like we have studied in schools, business school, we have the theory and then we have the case studies.
Yes.
You're
Okay.
right.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Yes,
Prabhupada
very
says
good.
one's
Preliminary study.
like the college course, the other's the postgraduate course.
Yes.
Yeah, the actual case studies which are applying those principles.
Yeah, very
to
good
Yes.
show.
That's a nice point.
Yes.
I like the last line of this purport, which says, "Thus the realized souls in Krishna consciousness take continual pleasure in hearing the transcendental literatures, just as a young boy and girl take pleasure in association." It's a natural thing, a boy and a girl, they have a nice relationship and they have very loving, kind of free and pleasurable association. So the same way, when we read these literatures, we will fall in love with them. We just feel good to be with them. So this is not an academic study. This is more of an emotional, spiritually, emotionally uplifting experience when we read these books.
Yeah, I just wanted to update everyone on Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhuji. So
Yes.
we are on Canto 1, Chapter 4. We have completed the first 3 chapters. The first one where all the rishis gathered at Nemisaranya, talking to Sud Goswamiji Maharaj, asking about everything. Then Sud Goswamiji Maharaj responding in second chapter on divine and divinity. And then the third chapter, Sud Goswamiji explaining about the origin of this world and the Krishna, where everything originates from Krishna. And currently we are reading the chapter 4, the arrival of Narad Muni. So that's going on. And I think we have Rinaji and Mukesh joining that.
That's wonderful. That's a real project, Prabhu, because at this rate, it takes years and years to finish the Bhagavatam, so you'll be busy.
Yes, but we have, so we are not reading the purport, we are reading the shlok and the translation. So we just started in last 2 to 3 weeks. We
That's
are on
wonderful.
chapter 4. So it's going good, but
That's
it's going to take a lot of time.
At the temple, we read, one verse a day with the purports, and at the rate we go, it
18,000 days.
it literally takes 10 years to do the 10th canto. So
Yeah, oh, I see. Yeah, and also there are 18,000 verses, right? So it will take 18,000
verses, yes.
One per day, that's 18,000.
It's a lot of verses.
Sakapriya saying something.
I think page by page, be a sage.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
The Vaisheshika Prabhu says about
If you do a page by page, that's 18,000 days. I don't want to even think of how long that is.
Yeah, that's almost like 60 years.
Yeah.
But the important thing is that as we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, after we conclude the study of the Bhagavad Gita, because the Bhagavad Gita is the introduction to the science of Krishna, the purification process is so powerful that by the time we get to read the actual pastimes of the Supreme Lord in the 10th canto, we are ready. We are ready to understand what has been said there.
And yeah, that's right. And just in 4 chapters, Prabhuji, we have learned so much. There's so much knowledge.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so much.
We have learned so much already, like just in 4 chapters.
And the second chapter of the first canto, 1-2, is probably quoted. Those verses are quoted more often by Prabhupada than any verses in the Bhagavatam. The second chapter. I mean, they're all good, but second chapter in particular, Prabhupada probably quoted those verses more than any verses in the Bhagavatam. So it's so much knowledge. Next verse.
Tesham satat yuktanam bhajitam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupayanti te. So to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Sejal Mataji?
In this verse, the word Buddhi Yogam is very significant. We may remember that in the second chapter, the Lord instructing Arjuna said that he had spoken to him of many things and that he would instruct him in the way of Buddhi Yoga. Now, Buddhi Yoga is explained. Buddhi Yoga itself is action in Krishna consciousness. That is the highest intelligence. Buddhi means intelligence, and yoga means mystic activities or mystic elevation. When one tries to go back home, back to Godhead, and talks and takes fully to Krishna consciousness in devotional service, his action is called Buddhi Yoga. In other words, Buddhi Yoga is the process by which one gets out of the entanglement of this material world. The ultimate goal of progress in Krishna, people do not know this. Therefore, the association of devotees and a bona fide spiritual master are important. One should know that the goal is Krishna, and when the goal is assigned, then the path is slowly but progressively traversed, and the ultimate goal is achieved.
Sure, Manish Prabhu?
When a person knows the goal of life but is addicted to the fruits of activities, he is acting in karma yoga. When he knows that the goal is Krishna, but he takes the pleasure in mental speculations to understand Krishna, he is acting in Jnana yoga. And when he knows the goal and seeks Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional services, he is acting in Bhakti Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, which is complete yoga. This complete yoga is the highest perfectional stage of life.
Parag?
A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization. But if he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him.
That's all.
Nice.
Some thoughts on this this verse?
Yeah.
Wow, this is a beautiful verse. It looks like I have hope. The unintelligent who may be sometimes devoted, the Lord will.
I was going to say that the last line applies on me.
What's the last line?
The last line of the purport applies to all of us. These two verses, this one and the next one, are very important because this really talks about Krishna's grace and how we should never feel that we don't have what we need to do. Sometimes people may be thinking, I'm not austere enough or intelligent enough. I don't have the ability to actually engage myself in a process to become purified so that I can serve the Lord. And here it's stating that if we just have this sincerity, tesham satata yuktanam, just be sincere, just to those persons, tesham satata yuktanam, always engage bhajatam in rendering service, priti porvakam, he gives ecstasy. I give this to Dami. And this Buddhi, and then Prabhupada really picks up on this Buddhi Yogam. We know the word Buddha, Buddha, he's the intelligent one. Well, Buddhi Yoga is the yoga of intelligence. It is engaging, and this is not intelligence for, running a business or, making money or, doing some kind of material manipulation of some sort of skill. this is the intelligence of understanding what it is that we need to do in order to connect to Krishna. And that is Krishna consciousness. That's the process. It's Buddha Yoga itself, action in Krishna consciousness. That's a nice point. Using our intelligence to serve Krishna. One should know the goal is Krishna, and act in a way in which we can reach that goal. And Krishna helps. And how does he help?
He's helping by providing the Bhagavatam. He's helping by providing friends for devotees. He's helping by providing us the opportunity to study and experience. And he's helping us by giving, especially the holy name. So the help is there all the time.
Yeah, people should know, and people do not know. Therefore, the association of devotees and a bona fide spiritual master are important. It states right there. And in that one paragraph, we can see there's something about, there's different kinds of yoga, depending on what we have. You know, we're attached to different things. So some of us are still attached to doing things in this world. So we may be acting in karma yoga, but not regular just karma yoga, but karma yoga in Krishna consciousness. Nice karma yoga. In other words, without desire for ourselves. So we can offer the fruits of our activities to Krishna. And some of us, we still have this desire to know things, gyan or knowledge. So then we can also engage ourselves in this process of gyan yoga or jnana mishra bhakti, which is the kind of yoga that allows us to do bhakti, but still be, attached to our knowledge. But ultimately, we want to come to the perfectional stage, which is just pure bhakti, anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavitam anukulyena krishnanu shilam bhakti uttama, that bhakti free from desires to make money, be ahead in life, karma, or be smart and know things, just like the gopis or the gopas. They just wanted to be with Krishna. That's pure devotion service. But that's a ways away, so we keep practicing. Any other thoughts, questions?
This is the most hopeful process and the most hopeful path that we can undertake, because Krishna constantly, especially in the Bhagwad Gita to begin with, he's always giving us encouragement and making promises that you'll come to me. If you do this, you'll come to me. If you think of me, you'll come to me. So if we look at the promises that Krishna makes in the Bhagwad Gita, we can rest assured that he is making promises that he is going to fulfill. We just have to become a little bit thoughtful and understand that that is for our best benefit. So we have to be intelligent to do the things that really benefit us the most by engaging in the service of the Supreme Lord.
The only condition is sincerity and love.
Yes.
Then, as you have said, Prabhu, if we take one step, the Lord will take 100 steps towards us. This verse reminds me of that statement you've made in the past.
Yeah, well, we only can, all we have to offer Krishna is love. And if we don't have the love yet, as you say, what we can offer is the desire to love him by our sincere desire to do this, to advance.
Yes.
That's it. And Krishna is so kind, he'll just, he'll fan the spark for us.
And
Lord,
Prabhuji,
yes.
On another level, if you think about it from a process of getting Krishna conscious, how easy it is. All you need to do is to submit to the Lord without any doubt, loving with love and devotion, and he'll take care of itself.
Oh,
and
yes.
so many times we think about, how do I do this? How do I start the devotion to the Lord? How would Lord help me? Or we forget the fact that the only condition he has, as you were saying, we need to have love, devotion, and unconditional surrender. In that situation, we just need to say that, Lord, you are our Savior, and you know what? Whatever you do, it will be good for us. And I think if we have that thought process, Krishna will help us all.
Then you're there. You've got the right attitude. The Prabhupada said that the process of Krishna consciousness is very simple if you have that attitude. That's what you described. But if you have an attitude where I'm great, or I've got something, important, I'm important, or I have some sort of the ahankara, the false ego, is getting in the way, then he says it becomes very difficult. It's to get to the point, Mukesh, the point that you made is perfect. We simply have to surrender. Sometimes Krishna helps us to surrender through difficult times or some issues in the world. That should be taken as Krishna's mercy. Not like, oh no, Krishna, why'd you do this? No, actually, this is good. We've been given some impetus.
It's like surgery. Sometimes.
It's not, the surgeon is cutting something out, and it's not really pleasant, but it's more important that you get it out. Otherwise, it'll, the disease will get worse.
Yeah, and in the previous verse, it's clearly mentioned, right? Like, how do you start? How do we start the whole process? And so the important thing is, like, how do we grow this? It's like a tree, right? So we put a seed, and that seed is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So once you grow the seed, then Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him. And then we will see how the progress is being made without worrying about the self-realization.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lord doesn't intervene directly into planting the seed. The seed is planted by the Guru. And then we chant the holy name, we follow a certain kind of lifestyle, we make ourselves surrender to the Supreme Lord and to the directions of the scriptures, and then the seed continues to grow. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, there was an interesting point Prabhuji made, that we need to be like gopis, that they were not the the experts or knowledge workers or karma yogis, but they were pure devotional. They had pure devotion towards Lord, and they had the highest knowledge from a bhakti yoga or buddhi yoga that we talked about. And how
they're
can we point that
the
direction?
emblem of devotion.
Yeah, the highest example of devotion. There's nothing higher than the gopis, and Srimati Radharani, of course.
But if we look in Vrindavan, we find so many examples. I mean, the wives of the brahmanas and the cowherd boys, they all had, there's different rasas. The point being is that this is the kind of devotion, unalloyed, Prabhupada called it, unmixed with any desire for ourselves. Simply, we want to please Krishna. Very, very important point. All right.
Yeah.
We'll start this one. We may not be able to finish, but this is
That's 11 is very important.
it's 11 is important. It's a long purport too, I think.
So please remember that 8, 9, 10, and 11 are the 4 crux verses of the Bhagavad Gita, where nothing but pure devotional service being expressed through the words of Krishna in these 4 verses.
Anyway.
I think we can just read it to Prabhuji and then just... Sure.
We can read it, and we can read maybe the first paragraph or something, and then we can start again next week with it.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's worth repeating.
Teshamevanukampa partha maham jnanajam tamah nasiyamyatma bhavastu jnanadipena bhasvata. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Seema?
When Lord Chaitanya was in Banaras promulgating the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thousands of people were following him. Prakashanda Saraswati, a very influential and learned scholar in Banaras at that time, declared Lord Chaitanya for being a sentimentalist. Sometimes Mayavadi philosophers criticize the devotion because they think that most of the devotees are in the darkness of ignorance and are the philosophically naive sentimentalist. Actually, that is not the fact. There are very, very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion, but even if a devotee does not take advantage of the literatures, or of his spiritual masters. If he is sincere in his devotional service, he is helped by Krishna himself within his heart. So the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness.
Sonali?
The Mayavadi philosophers think that without discriminating, one cannot have pure knowledge. For them, this answer is given by the Supreme Lord. Those who are engaged in pure devotional service, even though they be without sufficient education and even without sufficient knowledge of the Vedic principles, are still helped by the Supreme God as stated in this verse.
Rinaji? You're on mute.
Sorry for that. Thanks for reminding. The Lord tells Arjun that basically there is no possibility of understanding the supreme truth, absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead simply by speculating for the supreme truth is so great that it is not possible to understand him or to achieve him simply by making a mental effort. Man can go on speculating for several millions of years, and if he is not devoted, if he is not a lover of the supreme truth, he will never understand Krishna or the supreme truth. Only by devotional service is the supreme truth, Krishna, pleased, and by his inconceivable energy, he can reveal himself to the heart of the pure devotee. The pure devotee always has Krishna within his heart, and when the presence of Krishna, who is just like the sun, the darkness of ignorance is at once dissipated. This is the special mercy rendered to the pure devotee by Krishna.
Mukesh?
Due to the contamination of material association through many millions of births, one's heart is always covered with the dust of materialism. But when one engages in devotional service and constantly chants Hare Krishna, the dust quickly clears and one is elevated to the platform of pure knowledge. The ultimate goal, Vishnu, can be attained only by this chant and by devotional service, and not by mental speculation or argument.
Sejal Mataji?
Pure devotee does not have to worry about the material necessities of life. He need not be anxious because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord, who is pleased by the loving devotional service of the devotee. This is the essence of the teachings of Bhagwad Gita. By studying Bhagwad Gita, one can become a soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord and engage himself in pure devotional service. As the Lord takes charge, one becomes completely free from all kinds of materialistic endeavors.
Hare Krishna.
So I guess what we'll do is we'll start next week with this and discuss, because there's no time to discuss now.
Right. Yeah, that's fine. We can probably again read it next week.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's such an important verse. Everybody can meditate on this verse during the week. This is maybe of the 4 verses, it's the most important one.
Number 1.
That could be also.
So, yeah. And,
Yep.
I think we only 5 minutes left. We can again do one more Chaurashtakam since it's Purushottam Mass.
Yes, nice.
Yeah.
So let me bring that up.
He'll bring it up.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh,
Chaurashtakam.
Here it is. Chaurashtakam.
व्रजे प्रसेधं नवनीत चोरं गोपाङ्गनानां च चोरम् अनेक जन्मार्जिता पाप चोरम् चोराग्रगण्यं पुरुषं नमामि श्रीराधिकाया हृदयस्य चोरं नवाम्बुदश्यामलक्रान्तिचोरम् पदाश्रितानां च समस्तचोरं चोराग्रगण्यं पुरुषं नमामि अकिञ्चनीकृत्य पदाश्रितं यः करोति भिक्षुं पथि गेहहीनम् केनाप्यहो भीषणचोरैद्रग् दृष्टः श्रुतो वा न जगत्त्रयेऽपि यदि अनामति हरत्यशेषं गिरिप्रसाराणपि पापराशिः आश्चर्यरूपो ननु चोरैद्रग् दृष्टः श्रुतो वा न मया कदापि धनं च मानं च तथेन्द्रियाणि प्राणां श्रित्वा मम सर्वमेव पलायसे कुत्र धृतोऽद्य चोर त्वं भक्तिदाम्नासि माया निरोधः क्षीणत्रिघोरं यं पाशबन्धं भीनत्रि भीमं भवपाशबन्धम् क्षीणत्रि सर्वस्य समस्तबन्धं नैवात्मनो भक्तकृतं तु बन्धम् मनमानसे तामस राशि घोरे कारागृहे दुःखमये निबद्धः लभस्व हि चोर हरे चिराया स्वचोर्य दोषोचितं मे वदन्तम् कारागृहे वत्सदारिदयमदीये मद्भक्तिपाशदृढबन्धनिश्चलः सन् तस्य चोर हृदया नहि मोचयामि व्रजे प्रसिद्धं नवनीतचोरं गोपाङ्गनानां च दुकुलचोरम् जन्मार्जित पाप चोरं चौराग्रगण्यं पुरुषं नमामि Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
How beautiful. How very beautiful.
Jennifer, that was a very, very nice way to end the program. So very nice.
It's nice, yeah. The Chorastkam is a new one. And I think next month is the Kartik month. So where we have
Yeah, well, that begins on Halloween.
Yeah. All right. So cool. Everyone have a nice weekend.
Yes, and if anyone's in Cary at Bond Park at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, we'll be doing Hari Nam. So if you want to walk the dog at Bond Park, we'll be there.
All right.
Thank you to everyone.
Thank you for everything.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
For organizing. Thank you.
Always good to see you.
So nice to see everybody.
And have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.